Derby della Jenny, it's been a constant theme on the Calcio Guys ever since episode 1 back in 2018. And this guy was our guest on episode 1 back in 2018 when we were still
That
doing
was
it
a
at CCLO.
long time ago.
Marcello from Milan Club Montreal, the Presidente. Marcello, how's it going, my man?
Very good, very good. Thanks for having me, boys. What's happening?
It's a long time no see, March. You look good.
Yeah, you too. Just the three amigos weren't there. Johnny was missing on Sunday.
I am sorry. It's because basically, for context, it's parent teacher night coming up tomorrow night for my high school that I teach at, and I had to get stuff prepared for the parents. Marks entered, things corrected. I had to get things organized and whatnot, and I just had too much catching up, and also lesson planning, because when you're thrown in at the last minute to teach a subject, you have no months of the summer to prepare for it because you don't know. So you're constantly doing like a week by week type of planning. So I needed that day to do the work, or else I would have been there 100%. I apologize for that.
I know, just bugging you. Just bugging.
I know.
I'm gonna fix myself a bit. There. Okay.
Yeah.
More looking good. Yeah. Looking good. Before we get into the actual game, we were there on Sunday at Chocharo's. Milan Club Montreal hosted a viewing party with FC Supra. Just talk us through it, how it was from your side, how it all came about as well, and what it means to see. It was packed, amazing turnout, and what it means to see, the community, not only Milan fans, but there was Inter fans, there's Juve fans as well, to see everyone get together.
Yeah, so let me rewind just a bit. We met Paul, I would say, over a year ago. And it's through the local soccer show that we made a connection. And what we do with the local soccer show, it's a little different than the Milan Weekly podcast, where we pump out 1 or 2 podcasts a week just talking about Milan and Serie. So the local soccer show was something that Steve and I wanted to do because we're very passionate about the grassroots. We're coaches of our own kids, and we saw through our experiences over the years that there's a lot of things that need to be improved at the grassroots level. Unfortunately, we're in Canada and it's a hockey country, and especially Montreal, even more so with the Canadians. We see it's hockey, even in hot day in July. A fourth liner of the Canadians that caught a cold will get more news than, soccer. But we're getting there. It's getting better slowly. I'm hoping, Canada hosting the World Cup going to help us steer us in the right direction. The sport is growing. But anyway, through our experiences and then through our own friends that are involved at the grassroots, we see there's a lot of things that could be improved. So it was actually, Steve that had the idea of saying, well, we already have a platform with our podcast, with the Milan Weekly podcast. Why not use it as a way to talk about things at the grassroots with different guests, with people that are way more knowledgeable and experienced than we are, to talk about these things. And that's how it all started. We started with one guest, then another, and then we asked these guests to say, well, who would you recommend? And slowly, we built a little network of contacts that were very knowledgeable people in the industry when it comes to the amateur soccer. And that's how we met up with Paul. And what we did with Paul was we did an exchange. I forgot. It was 2 or 3 years ago. Adria, maybe you could help me. When Milan and Chelsea were in the same group.
I think it was about 2 years ago, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Anyway, whatever it was. So Paul and I did this little wager where if Milan would win on aggregate, he would have to wear a Milan kit and take a picture with it. And if it was Chelsea, it would be me. And I lost the bet, so I had to wear a Chelsea kit and take a picture with it because I lost the bet. And anyway, we made a connection there, and then we saw Paul was very passionate too about soccer at the grassroots, and he does things also to raise funds with his goals initiatives project where, for example, there was an elementary school in Verdun. Thanks to his initiative, they have a turf field for the kids to play outside at recess time.
Wow.
So he didn't, I don't think he funded the whole project, but a nice portion of it was through his efforts of fundraising. So fast forward a little bit later, Paul also has his own soccer show on TSN 690, the first half, every Friday at 6 p.m. And he invited Steve and I to go on his show. And we talked about the Milan Club Montreal. We talked about the podcast, and we were there a whole hour. It was a great experience. It was my first time I'm on like live radio, but we were in the studio.
Yeah.
And I had even brought my kids, and they loved it. It was a really cool experience. So then we kept in touch even from that time. Once in a while, we're just discussing a few things, and lo and behold, there's this FC Super project that comes along, and we find out that Paul's involved in some capacity. At the time, we didn't know what his role was, but now we know he's the chief branding officer, so it's a pretty big role. And we're good friends with Rocco, just like you are, Adrian.
Yeah.
And so when this thing was announced, Steve and I were at the launch event at Boîte Boulogne in Laval, where they had, was presented live on One Soccer TV. They were talking about the launch of the team. And that night, talking to Paul, I go, hey, this is really cool. And I said, I think it's important for the Supra to really, connect with the community, because I find our other club, the bigger one, it's something that we've been complaining about for a long time, that they do it. I'm not going to say they never did it, but I find where they went wrong, it wasn't done enough. And you really should connect with the community, especially soccer. It's such a community type of sport. So you could blend in all kinds of different cultures, and so many kids are playing the sport. There's like such a market to tap into that you could make the club grow. And so, my chat with Paul, it kind of resonated with him, and he was big on community. And I go, that's the way you got to do it. I go, so we're like, hey, what could we do? I said, we'd like to help out. What can we do? And brainstorming with Paul, he's a very creative guy as well. And he's saying, what's a way we can do something with the community? And as we're brainstorming, I'm like, well, let's, with our club, we get together for some matches. We look at the calendar, like the derby's coming up. I said, why don't we do something for the derby? And then Paul's like, okay, well, why don't we come and watch it with you guys? I'm like, fantastic. So from there, the idea sparked, and we started talking back and forth. What could we do, this and that? I'm like, well, it'll be a good way for you guys for people to get to know you, like in live, in person, because a lot of times you could post stuff on social media, you could put an article on a website. That's cold. You're just looking at a screen. You're not really getting to know the person. But I said, if you want to have the people actually come and see you in person, I said, come to Grocharo's, we'll do some publicity, and we'll get people to come. So I was confident we were going to get a nice turnout. I never thought we were going to get the turnout where we had people, they couldn't come to the back room, like my own members and stuff. At one point, it was so full. They were on the other side of Chocharos. That's how jammed it was. So the turnout for me was a huge success. And I was really happy of the turnout. And it was better than what I had imagined. So anyway.
Us too,
Yeah.
Marcello. Honestly, listen, I know people know the club and know the podcast, especially in the Calcio community. And, I don't think they know enough about you, Marcello, because you're usually behind the scenes, really working and making all this come together. So, listen, I've been a part of the club for a while now, and I've seen some incredible things happen along the way. And honestly, I know Nick has been along to some of these things. I know Johnny has appeared as well, and
Yep.
It's for me, it was a great event. Like honestly, like we've been to different events where it's crazy, and this was up there. Just for you, Marcello, just in the history of you being president of the club and everything, where do you think this type of event ranks? Because I don't think anything will beat the Scudetto a few seasons ago. That day was
that was crazy.
Was
I lost
crazy.
my voice. It took me 4 days to recover from that day.
Exactly. Where would you say this types of thing, this type of event with FC Supra, and again, a shout out to Rocco, to Paul, getting to know these guys a bit more personally, it's just been a true honor for us as well.
To rank the Adriana, I would say winning the Scudetto #1 for sure, especially the way we won it, and it was unexpected. Like that season, I didn't have Milan winning the Scudetto. I had them battling in the top
No
4.
one did. Not in a bad way, but just no one did.
Yeah.
And even on paper, our roster was okay. Like we didn't sign anybody like, oh my god, like sort of like really extravagant. But we did have Ibra, and that helped. And the team, we did have veteran players like Romagnoli. We had Chiera at the time.
Yeah.
So you had guys that had experience, and I think that helped the youngsters on the team too. So yeah, for sure, I would say the Scudetto will be #1. #2 would have to be the night when we had the Champions League, when Daniele and Massaro came to visit.
I was about to say,
that was huge as well.
Like, were you there, Jenny? Because I remember.
But I remember, like, because I think Jordan went as well. He would talk about it and stuff. So
he was there.
Yeah. So
that was a huge night.
And for me, I'll never forget, I went downtown to pick up Massaro at the hotel.
Yeah.
And I have the Champions League trophy in the back of my car, and we're driving from downtown to Chocharos. And I'm like, I'm pinching myself. I'm like, is this for real? Like, I have Daniele.
This sounds like a fever dream too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just sounds like something you. Like, I'm dreaming this.
Like the trophy is literally in the backseat of my car, and it was quite a drive to get to Chocharos from downtown. And the guy was such an ambassador; it was amazing. Like the stories he told me, like I can't say some of them on air. It was like private between us, but he was talking to me like we've been friends for years.
Yeah,
and no filter. Like whatever he didn't like, people. His own players or referees, whatever he said, it was private between us. But he didn't care. Like he felt confident enough to tell me that he knows I wouldn't say it out in public. So it was crazy. And then same thing on the way back, driving him back downtown to the hotel before I went home. It was a surreal experience. And then to put the cherry on the Sunday, the next day, we go to Evangelista Sports.
Yeah.
And this time it's Steve that went to pick up Massaro at the hotel. And even him, he got to experience having the trophy with him, with the Massaro, bringing it to Evangelista Sports. And we were in Little Italy, and people that couldn't come at Chocharos got to take pictures and meet with Massaro the day after. So that would be #2. And yeah, this event with the Supra for sure, #3. So yeah, it was really cool. The turnout, I got to meet the coaches. I got to speak with them, and a few guys were willing. They were open to. I don't know how much they interacted with other people because we're so concentrated on the game.
Yeah,
like the derby was it's hard to have like long conversation, but really cool guys. I knew who they were. I never met them before. It was the first time, and very approachable, very friendly. They thanked me for inviting them to join us, and we were the first watch party that the Supra ever did. I know they want to do other ones, but I hope we set like a good standard that if anyone else wants to do something with the Supra, like you have to put work. There was work involved to do it, but I think it's a fantastic way for them to connect with the community.
And I think, honestly speaking, like that, like the fact of like the Massaro story is just like precedent enough to show that like you guys are professional in doing things like this, and you are capable of handling like very big or serious events. Chucharo's a nice space too. Like it's not small, it's not huge, but it's got a decent space to it that you can get a crowd going and stuff. So it's nice. It's very it's accessible, even though it is all the way for some of the like the fans that are more central Montreal or more West End. You have to come. It's just right off a highway, so you know it's like you guys. It's like a perfect storm. And I used to say it all the time to like to Adri and to Jordan, who's like my best friend. Like I'm like out of all like the soccer clubs that I've experienced in Montreal, like Milan Club Montreal, it just feels like such at a higher level compared to the rest. Like I know, obviously, you know, it does help, you know, like being a fan of one of the big threes, you know, like you have a bigger crowd to kind of work with and a bigger fandom to work with, and you know, more opportunity and stuff. But nonetheless, it doesn't like just because you have more doesn't mean the quality is going to be better. But it just feels like whenever you guys do an event, it just feels like a really well put together solid event with a good community. It's a good group of guys. Like it doesn't like I can go, like I went for a Napoli Milan game in Champions League when Napoli played Milan in Champions League, and you know I wore my Napoli jersey and I did not feel uncomfortable at all. I was having a good time with everybody, you know, like so that, like I imagine just to that point where it's like I didn't even go watch it with they might hate us now because I'm saying I didn't go watch it with Napoli Club Montreal, but I mean, you know, I had more fun. I knew I was going to have a lot of fun at Milan Club Montreal. So I think that's just a testament to you guys. And if the podcast listeners don't really know what Milan Club Montreal is capable of doing under Milanisti, you know, like it's a good group of people that if you ever do come up to the city, I do recommend that you guys actually, you know, pay them a visit for an event because it's always fun. It's always fun.
Thank you, Johnny, for the kind words. I really appreciate it. And I have to say, it's not only me. There's
overall
my crew in the background. There's Steve, Vinny, Jan, Anthony, Mario. They all help out in the background. So we're a nice little group, and you know, it shows we really care about the team. We're very passionate about it. So whenever we want to do something, that's my philosophy. If you're gonna do something, do it the right way, do it properly, or don't bother doing it. So that's
well said.
Yeah. You guys are definitely the gold standard for fan clubs Montreal, even as you know, not Milan fan. I consider myself an honorary member of the club of coming up. So no, but honestly, I love you guys and the support. And like Johnny said, whenever I come, you know, there's times I've come with my Juve stuff too. It's not like when you go to Italy, you go to a game and someone's gonna threaten to beat you up. You know, at the end of the day, we're all Montrealers. We're all, you know, we're all going to cheer Italy together come March there. But yeah, I do want to talk about the game itself. 1-0, like an Allegri win. I guess you could say outside looking in, it felt like almost, you know, Inter kind of dominated maybe the first 20 minutes, and then Milan kind of took over. Obviously, Pulisic with the goal. I mean, as a Milan fan, what did you see? You know, were there any points even after the goal that you were worried that Inter would come back and tie it? Obviously, besides the penalty, let's say. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the game?
No, I think it is fair to say we were the team that got dominated against. Inter did push hard. They were in our zone most of the game, and we were just there absorbing their pressure, absorbing, and you know, if you look at the goal that we scored, it was a nice goal, but it's like one error after another. 3 errors led to the goal. Hakan made a screw up in the middle of the field. Fofana too, he missed a pass, but it wasn't recovered in the mid. When Leao got tripped up or whatever, they did like a 1-2. And then Sommer, I don't know what he was doing there. I mean, it was an outside shot from Salamakers. It wasn't a hard shot. He did angle it. But as the goalie, I don't think you should be putting the rebound and serving it on a silver platter like that when you have the winger coming in at that speed. Again, it's easy for me to say I don't play as a goalkeeper, but it looked like something screwed up. Because a lot of Inter fans were upset with their goalie to just leave that juicy rebound the way they did. And then Pulisic, gotta love him, opportunistic, but the guy hustles and he gets in the right place at the right time, and boom, we get the goal. And other than that, we did create a little bit. Pulisic had another chance to score, and he missed. I think Salamakers had missed one also. But yeah, most of the game was in our zone. And but comparing, let's say, to other derbies where Inter was dominating us, we're very organized this time in the back. And it helps when you have Rabiot and Modric in the midfield that come and support and they lead the line back and forth. You don't see that high press anymore, and where Inter burns us on the counter and we get exposed in the back. Now you see we're more organized and more compact. So even if they do come and attack, we didn't give them much space. So that's the difference between previous derbies and now. Allegri has a good system where we don't tend to really dominate possession of the ball, and we don't really play, like a tiki-taka style of play. We just wait, and then we pounce. And we have the players to make you pay. And it seems to be working that when we get you on the counter, we're going to hit you hard.
Yeah, and Marcello, it's the derby is like it's always been obviously a huge match. In the past it was a match where we used to kind of be worried for. In the past, Inter always seemed to have our number. It's now 6 straight unbeaten in the derby against Inter. What do you think kind of has changed in this last little stretch for Milan in your point of view, and just what is Milan doing that's maybe different from the last stretch where they were 6 games where they didn't 6 derbies that they didn't win. What do you think has changed over this time?
Well, look, I mean, let's just look back when Inter won their second start. They beat us in San Siro. Like, if that didn't motivate you enough to really stay, we're not going to make Inter beat us today.
Yeah,
like, that will be the time, and yet we still lost to that. That one really hurt. And I find, it's not to blame everything on Pioli. I mean, he didn't make us win a Scudetto, but the way they were playing, you saw it became a little too much individual. The collective wasn't there. And I think that hurt us. And that's why Pioli did very bad in the derbies. There was too much individualism going on. And even the style of play was a little bit too aggressive. And Inter always found holes in our defense and they exploited them very easily. So now I think the style changed, maybe also with the personnel, with all the changes we made.
Yeah.
It helped we strengthen a bit our midfield, because I always believe the midfield is the engine of a club and you win and lose because of your midfield. So if you have a strong mid that supports your defenseman, it's going to be hard for the other team to score. And I think now we have the collective, the way they play. Because look, Adria, we have the same 3 defensemen like last year.
Yeah.
Tomori, Gabbia, and Pavlovic.
Yeah.
GPT line. Same guys.
Yeah.
I don't think they changed much how they play.
No.
But the support they have has changed. So it's making them look better. Not saying they're not playing well. Don't get me wrong. They are playing well. They're doing their job. But all of a sudden now, they're not cut out of position anymore. Why? Because the midfield is holding the line and making their job easier. So that's why it looks a lot better this year, but it's the same players like last year.
Yeah, and you kind of like see that in Serie A where there's like a shift more towards like midfield center, like focused on the midfield for teams, like if you look at it last year for Napoli, the Scudetto, the MVP of Serie A was McTominay, McFratama. Like it was like Napoli's midfield last year really helped them win the Scudetto, and Milan with a once a week type of game, like with those good with Rabiot and Modric being amazing free agent acquisitions, like it's showing, right? They're contending. I myself am a little bit irritated because in Fanta I sat Millian because I'm like, Inter's the most offensive team. I think it's going to be a crazy game. I'm like, let me just
not the week to do it.
Yeah, let me put Montipo instead, and then I got screwed over, and I was going up against the first place guy. Basically, a W turned to a draw. But the reason why I'm talking about free agents and Millian and making that joke about Fanta, Millian recently, unless something's changed recently that I missed out on, it seems like he's not going to be renewing his contract with Milan. What do you guys think about, like, both you and Adriano? Like, what do you guys think about that? Is it worrisome? Is there somebody that you guys think, like somebody in the system that I'm not aware of that's going to be the next person up and stuff? Like, obviously he's going to be very important for the run this year, but knowing that he's gone at the end of the season, right? Like, what's your mentality? Like, what's like the fan base mentality behind it?
I'll let Marcello go first.
Yeah, well, I'd be really sad if he is actually let go. And this thing is frustrating too for me as a fan to not renew his contract. You should always renew the contract of your key players. And especially in soccer, where you lose as a free agent, you get nothing back in return.
Yeah.
You should never have your players stay in this limbo state. Don't wait till there's 1 year left on the deal and then try to renew it, because the risk of losing them for free is much, much higher. And then the other thing that worries me is starting January, he's allowed to talk to other teams for the next season. How much does that affect his game, where he's already thinking of his next destination? Now, you would hope as a player you're a professional, assuming in January Milan's still battling to finish top 4 and we're still in the fight to win the title. You would hope the players are focused solely on that, but you never know, right? Today's generation of players, it could easily get distracted too. So it's always in the back of your mind, and then you're like, well, I'm playing well. Why doesn't they give me what I want? Like, there's a lot of potential distractions that could go on in the background. So I'm hoping a bit of common sense will prevail and they won't do that to actually lose the goalie on a free. And then there's the other side of me that says, if a player really wants to stay here, he will stay here. We've seen in the past, Teo renewed, Leao renewed. There are players that when they want to stay, they'll just tell their agent, no, I'm not interested in going somewhere else. I want to stay here. And you make a deal. So now that they made him captain too, I'm hoping he'll want to stay if he's happy with the season under Allegri.
Yeah, and the only thing that kind of pisses me off with Milan and this situation is we've done it before, and it seems like they still haven't learned their lesson. Like, we lose Donnarumma on a free, and listen, never really liked Hakan, but we lost him on a free in that season as well. And it seems like Milan is still in this stage where they're different, ownership, different management, and it's still the same old story, losing players for free or potentially losing players for free. So again, for me, especially after this game, I know maybe it's a bit of recency bias, with the performance that he had on Sunday in the derby. But I was listening to Milan Weekly podcast, right, Stevie and Vinny on Monday. The legacy game of Magnan, and it really was. And time and time again since he's stepped foot as a Milan player, he's made those timely saves. He's saved us many times. Yes, does he have his annual injury kind of mid-season or at some point during the year? Yes, we've seen it. I think in almost every season that he's been with us. So that's the only thing that worries me. But when we lost Donnarumma, in the Maldini era, they already had Magnan ready to go, and we didn't really know too much about him. He came in, he was the player chosen, and we haven't really looked back since. I hope that doesn't happen again, that we have to suffer and lose a player to hopefully get another diamond in the rough. I think he is one of, like Marcello said, guys, one of the cornerstones of this team. He's been given captain over this last stretch of time. So I would resign him. I know a lot of other Milan fans I've been seeing, some of our fellow Milanisti, would want to resign him. But again, it's as we know, it is a business, and things will change, and money talks, and so we'll see. I've always commended Marcello, because in our chats on WhatsApp, he's always said, if the player wants to stay, like he just alluded to, if the player wants to stay, they will stay, and ultimately it's their decision. All the paper talk, all the stuff that we see in the media, in the news, it's just fluff, until we kind of see pen to paper. It's when we know it's official. So listen, I want him to stay. I'll take that one injury a year and the time we saves that he gives us, because he really saves us points year in and year out. I think he's become a bit more of a leader too. I think he always had that kind of confidence in his play. So we'll see. But if we do end up losing him, if that is the case, I just hope Milan and upper management finds a true quality replacement, because you can have all the players on the pitch, ahead of the keeper, but you still have to save the ball as well. So you got to let them out of your net. So, and we've had the luxury of having two quality keepers back to back. Donnarumma era, now Maignan. So, yeah. To sum it all up, I would keep him, and I hope he does stay. But again, we don't know the future, and just hopeful, I guess, because if he's smart, he sees what's kind of building here. If Allegri stays on, I think if Modric kind of stays on another year, it's a special group. I think there are the players to do well. So maybe he goes out with a bang and with a Scudetto. I don't know, but I would keep him almost at some people I've been seeing that like keep him at all costs. I don't know about that, because again, we kind of have to be smart, but I would say you have to really look into keeping him and make him an offer he can't refuse.
On the topic of Maignan, I did want to talk about that penalty save on Hakan. Obviously, we know Hakan's history with Milan. The two never played together at Milan. They didn't cross paths, but it was interesting watching it because Maignan wasn't even centered in the net. Still made the save. It almost as if he knew where Hakan was going to go. So actually, I do have two questions, Marcello. First, what did you think of the penalty itself? Because I thought it was bullshit. Like, there's contact after the shot's made. Like, do we really need VAR for that? Like, that for me, that's not the point of VAR. VAR is clear and obvious errors. That's not a clear and obvious error. Like, that's sure, the letter of the law, you go by the book, there's contact in the box. But if you're going to be calling that, you have to call every single foul outside the box. Every single touch is going to be a foul. We're not going to have a game anymore. The game's gone. What's that meme? Utter woke nonsense.
Yeah,
that's me when I watched it, right? But I want to hear your opinion on that, and also on the penalty save itself. What you saw from Maignan.
Well, yeah, for sure, the penalty, did the player get stepped on? Yes, but you have to look at the context of it. This is where it gets tricky, because there's some people that want to have rules where it's black and white. You shouldn't leave things up to the interpretation of the ref. That way there's no controversy. If there's contact, and the story, it's a penalty. But a situation like this, it's like, are you serious? How what happened affect the outcome of the cross? It did not. Had him been stepped on prevented him from crossing, or do a cross that didn't go to its intended target because there was a blockage and him getting stepped on caused it? Yeah, you say the rule is you get stepped on, it's a foul. But the ball was already crossed, and obviously showing it in slow motion, it looks a lot worse than it is in a real game. So this, I have to agree with Steve, where he gets very upset, and he's right. He goes, soon you're going to have to chop off people's feet and their arms when you're defending in the box, because you won't be allowed to do anything anymore. And we're going to lose the art of defending. It's a contact sport. It's going to be contact. And I don't find it was a malicious intent of hurting. I wasn't a malicious intent to block it. He just reached out, put his foot, and he happened to step on it, but after the ball was crossed. So right there, it was a bullshit penalty awarded to Inter. Then if we look at the penalty itself, yeah, it was weird Maignan playing games with Hakan. But Hakan is easily distracted and bugged about certain things. So, it's cool for the goalie to play a bit of the mind games. And Maignan hasn't been very good, by the way, on saving penalties. So but now it's 2 in a row. And no, it was a really nice save. A bit lucky too, in the sense Hakan, he's got a pretty good shot. I don't think he struck it well. If you look at his feet, he did that little tiki-taka move before he took the shot. And I find he had to have placed it a little more in the corner than what he did. It was like a bit off. It wasn't hit hard, and good on Mike to guess the right side and plunge the way he did to stop. It was a fantastic save.
Yeah, I mean, like you just said it perfectly. Like those two saves, right? One against Inter, one against Napoli. Two teams that are very.
It's Roma.
Oh, it was Roma? They also,
yeah, Dybala.
Yeah, the Dybala save. My bad. That was another mixed up. My bad. One of my two teams. Either way, I was unhappy. Either way, but that's what I mean. Like that steals games right there. That steals that changes 0 points to 3 points or 1 point to a 3-point game. Like fantastic. You need those.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you know, we listen. I think we were all kind of up in air with the call. Like I was next to Anthony, Milan Legends there, and we were just we couldn't believe it. And like it was just one of these things where it's like, what, they're checking that? Like, are you serious? Like, much we don't usually like to. Maybe in the past when we first started, we were kind of a bit more rambunctious with the refereeing decisions and all that. But we try not to get into the controversy, just because, you know, every team gets screwed, if you will, in Serie A at one point or the other. But I feel like in this game, you know, yes, I think the referee, you know, let the game go. I would say for the most part, but there were certain instances that it was just like, what is going on? You know, obviously we just mentioned, you know, the penalty, or in our eyes the non-penalty that should have not been called. But obviously in the beginning of the game, you know, with the elbow in the face from Lautaro to Gabbia, we saw the hair pull of Acerbi to Leao. Maybe a bit of a lesser thing, but you know, Kivu kind of playing against Il Furbo, right? He kind of getting in the way there of Rabiot when he's trying to with the throw in. What did you kind of make of the flow of the game, the refereeing? Even though, again, it's not a topic we always like to talk about, but if you listen online and if you watch the game, these are instances where, in other cases, you know, that could have been a card, it could have been a red card, like things could have really escalated. What did you make of the refereeing and just some of these decisions that weren't really called?
Well, I do agree with you. He did let a lot of stuff go at the beginning. There was a good flow to the game. I tend to like that when a ref lets the players play.
Especially in the derby, Macha.
Yeah, absolutely. Even more so, because you know it's going to be a little more hyped, right? So, however, there comes a time you need to also, as a ref, say, okay, I let you guys play, but now you're really pushing the limit and you're stretching the court to a certain point, and you don't want to lose control of the game, because then the opposite starts happening when you let one thing go, a second and a third. That's where a ref has to have the experience to, you know, in a Steel Steve's line, know the moment. So you got to look at the moment in the game, and you got to say, okay, guys, this is enough. Next time I see you do something, I'm going to pull out a card, warning you, stop the nonsense. So it's like, which one was the worst out of the three, right? You got to look at flow of the game. For me, the elbow is probably the more flagrant of the three things, because you can't say you did it accidentally. I'm sorry. To do an elbow that you know the guy's on you, I have a hard time believing it was an accident. The hair pull, you shouldn't be pulling someone's hair, but I don't find it impeded much in the game. I find the elbow, the act itself, there's more violence to it. And then the coach, being in the way, it's not really cool. I don't find it as a flagrant thing. But again, it's a matter of opinion. I would say the elbow was the one where you could have said, okay, enough. Like, it's like, you know,
the card or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You really hurt someone hitting in the elbow.
No.
Leao, yeah, he pulled his hair. I don't think he got really hurt there. So I think that was the worst out of the three.